Welcome back to the Sports Source. This segment of our program brought to you by A.G. Hines Company. Whether you need tools or building materials for your next project, start said project with a trip to A.G. Hines Company. They've been East Tennessee's leader for as long as anyone can remember. One family running the same business for 4 generations. You're not going to find that many places in the United States. That's the definition of quality, folks. That's what you get at A.G. Hines Company, aghines.com to learn more. All right. We are moving in some more guys onto our panel. We have right down here longtime sports writer and host of the Cavaleris line, the Beat the House segment. He also owns the Chucky C. Note Casino in Las Vegas.
You got it, baby.
Chuck Cavaleris. Right here we got Daniel Hood, VFL. Thanks for being here. A new bright outfit every week. It looks good. Right down here we have Josh Ward from 99.1 The Sports Animal. Thank you for being here.
Thanks, Sean.
All right. As I mentioned going to break, I wanted to talk about what we learned. We already talked about the big takeaways in that first segment, but what little things did we learn from this game? What do we think we learned? Because it's one game, small sample size, but what do we think we learned? Josh, I'll start with you.
I think we learned Gerald Mincey is the left tackle, and that doesn't guarantee that'll be the case the entire season. And when we see a depth chart, it also doesn't tell us exactly what's going to happen, but then watch the game. And I think Mincey has won the job right now against J.J. Crawford. That battle will probably continue if for some reason Mincey shows he can't be the guy. But I think the staff brought in Mincey as a transfer from Florida, an SEC school, hoping, okay, we can get more out of him. Here's an SEC talent. And at the start of camp, I probably would have predicted Crawford's the guy to begin the season. But Mincey started out, and I think that'll continue at least moving forward.
I don't know if we learned this or not. Can I throw a concern in for learning?
Sure.
I wasn't impressed, despite the number of yards rushing, I wasn't impressed by the offensive line just having some gaping holes. And so did I learn anything? No. But am I concerned going into the Pitt game that I just didn't see sometimes the line of scrimmage reestablished 3-4 yards back and nobody be near the back when he gets the handoff and he's running clean? So I don't know if that's a learning or a concerning.
Okay.
You learned your concern.
Yes, I learned what I'm concerned about.
Yeah, and I think to piggyback off what Josh says, I'm starting to see player development from year over year. You see Milton come in, you see him go 8-9 and to be a lot more consistent, a better player than what he was last year. It seems like for the first time, this coaching staff is taking really good players and then getting even more out of them. And I think, the wide receiver number 2, Brew McCoy, coming in, what he's doing, seeing his development in that system, how he's picked it up. It's very impressive to finally seeing the coaching staff do that with their players.
Yeah, and I thought 2 areas you really needed to see some younger players step forward and show they can help you, wide receiver and in the secondary. And I think you saw that across the board. You saw guys that you think are going to be able to make plays, maybe even more so than some of the ones ahead of them. And that's what you want. Even if they don't start, you've got players that can push the guys ahead of them. And that's going to make you a better football team.
Well, along that, I'll go with Demarion McDonald, who was a guy who they hoped coming into fall camp that he would compete and maybe take that job. He took that job. Then he gets in there night 1, gets the interception. He looks like a guy who's ready to play in the SEC right now. Again, well, let me dial that back. Looks like a guy who's ready to play right now. That was Ball State, not the SEC. But still, I thought that was a heck of a performance for a first-time guy who's had a really good camp. I thought McDonald looked like the real deal.
Yeah, there was a lot of buzz around McDonald because he had emerged with Wesley Walker coming in as a transfer at the star position, and all we heard about was McDonald, and then play number 1, whose name did we hear? Tamir McDonald.
I think to Daniel's point about player development, I think that's what people have complained about going all the way back to the Dooley era, the Jones era, the Pruitt era.
Lots of errors.
A lot of errors. And a lot of errors. But look at the linebackers. I think you're seeing that. Remember when Jeremy Pruitt said Jeremy Banks could be one of the best he could be great. Well, you never saw that out of him. Now I think you are seeing that out of him. And I forget the young kid's
Aaron Beasley
name.
had a good game.
Aaron Beasley, who was there with him.
Yesterday.
And so you're seeing some of these guys come in that were highly touted, and they live up to what was said.
But we still haven't seen Juwan Mitchell, right?
I think that's something we learned that as well. That let's you can't count on him at this point.
Exactly. I mean, and even it was to me, and I think we're going to talk about this later. It was just a clean. It looked like an efficient football team. And even on some of your kickoffs, I mean, being able to kick the ball into the end zone where you're probably not going to have the other team return it. That doesn't matter as much against Ball State. Later in the season, being able to do that is a big plus.
I do think your special teams, that was my one red flag for the game, is they had some young guys in there making mistakes. When you rewatch the film, you break it down, getting out of the lanes. You know, Ball State should not be averaging 20 to 22 yards on kickoff. That should be a 10 to 15-yard team. And so that was my red flag for the game, is special teams.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very good. Anything else?
Your point that you told me after the game, the punt, the only punt was at the first
Yeah,
half when
almost
they had the
blocked.
one punt.
Right.
Yeah.
You told me it was almost blocked.
Yeah.
I was impressed by the hang time and the distance of the punt. I'm sitting there going, God, that's a great punt. Then I talked to you later, and you said, well, it was almost blocked.
Yeah, it was almost blocked.
I didn't even notice that part of it, you know, sitting there and didn't look at the Jumbotron. But I didn't have quite as many red flags about the special teams, I think, as Daniel did. I thought that was okay.
Well, they didn't get on the field that much.
But
right?
that's typical.
The kickoff team did.
You're always so positive, and he's always so dang negative. All right, tell you what, when we come back, did our expectations rise for this team? After what we saw against Tennessee, or from Tennessee, and after what we saw Pitt do against West Virginia, struggled a little bit, won the game, but struggled a little bit. Did the expectations, does Tennessee's win total go up? I think if you ask some fans, it would be. What about the guys on this set? We'll discuss that next. Sterling Hinton joins us as well. Come on back on the Sports Source.
Away from home? Watch the Sports Source live at WATE.com.